This is Jamerica with Jamerica Life, and I know that there are a lot of people who were in the hurricane and are experiencing a lot of damage due to water. There are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about because this house that I'm in experienced flood damage. It happened to me about just pre-pandemic, pre-COVID. So about 9 years ago, 8, 9 years ago. And there are some things that you have to do if you experience that type of water. So the first thing, let me tell you what happened. I went to volunteer for I think it was a basketball team, and we were serving beverages to everybody. Hello, God's desire for me. We were serving beverages to everyone. I was helping a friend out, and we were serving, popcorn, candy, and it was for a team. They do that at the Longhorns game. They support the local high school teams, and you get to sell stuff, and that's how they raise money for all their trips and everything at the Longhorns game, which is a wonderful thing. So we worked there. We had to go there for setup, and then I didn't get home until about, I don't know, after midnight. It was raining so bad. I can remember that night. My girlfriend, we all went together because we drove out to the stadium, and one car is better than bringing two out there to that big place. And it allowed us to stay together. When I got home, though, I heard water in the house, and I said, "Well, Jamaica, did you leave the back door open? Um, what what why is there water? I can't believe I left the back door open." I was talking to myself. Well, I came through the door, and I noticed that all of the living room ceiling was wet and the tape was starting to come off. And when I came to where this light is, this ceiling had completely caved in. Water was everywhere. It was all over the floor, the entire downstairs, everywhere. I mean, water was everywhere. The tape was coming off the ceiling. So I ran and got a mop, and it was just so much water. First, and then I was like, "Where is it coming from?" Well, the bathroom upstairs, um, was it the toilet? It had popped. One of them had popped. No, under the sink. That hose, the attachment, it was old. They recommend you change those out every year or so. Whatever happened, it came loose. The bathroom and the bedroom upstairs, water was everywhere upstairs, almost to the end of the bathroom. All of this down here was wet. Ceiling caved in, tape coming down. It looked like an abandoned building in here. I'm saying that to say that there are certain things that you have to do as soon as possible if your insurance will pay. Mine paid because it was something that happened while I was out. I was out at the game volunteering to help the team, the high school team, and I came home to a disaster. And it does not take long for your house to take on water. So what I learned from there, I called up one of my friends who is I called up, no, I called up my insurance company, and initially they were not responding like they should. I mean, I told them, I called them, and I put in a claim, and I said, "Hey, my house is flooded. What do I do?" And then I called my contractor, and he says, "You need to get mitigation in there as soon as possible. You need somebody to come in there to run their machines and dry that place out." Basically, they're huge dehumidifiers that just suck all of the air, and they're huge, and they make a bunch of noise. Well, the ceiling had caved in, right? And this happened on a Saturday. So Saturday night, well, Sunday morning, I guess. So I called around, and I called one of my friends, the plumber. I know a lot of guys who do, thank God, I know a lot of guys who do that type of work. And he was like, "I know there's this guy who has some machines. He can come in." Thank God the guy didn't have anything to do. That's why it's important to try to find a mitigation team as soon as possible. Or you're going to have to be your own mitigation team. And that is, you got to dry that place out. So when water collapses, or if it's coming from above or coming through your door, you got to dry it out and you got to cut that sheetrock out. Take of the all of the insulation out of the walls. I mean, it was bad. The wall was cut out about halfway. So the guy came with the mitigation guy came and he started running his machines, but he didn't have enough machines for this house. This house is big, and it was more than half. It was 3/4 of this house was flooded. 3/4. And your insurance, if you do not do anything to try to mitigate mold or anything, they ain't gonna help you. You on default on your contract. So you got to get that place dried out, even if you have to do it yourself. And if you don't have someone to mitigate, you got to do it yourself. So what you do is, if it gets wet, water is gonna go down to the baseboards, right? It's gonna seep through the sheetrock, and then it's gonna work its way up. All of that insulation is nothing but a sponge. You got to cut the walls out. You got to cut it out. I don't know how many feet, as long as you get all of the water out of the walls and all of that insulation, because mold happens real quick. That being said, try to get somebody in there to mitigate as soon as possible. Mitigation is basically them putting a big old oven in your house. You can't stay in the house, by the way, if your house floods. We had that happen. Was it Harvey? We had some people who were in mobile homes out there near the airport. And I don't even think it was Harvey. I think it was pre-Harvey, because we have a lot of storms out here. We have flooding problems sometimes out here in Austin, believe it or not. Those people, they condemn their house and they eminent domain their property. There are properties where you can't live on them. Can't do anything with certain pieces of land, and that's what they did. They changed the zoning for that piece of property, and it's nothing. How you doing, Sharon Sunshine? I'm just trying to give my experience on flood damage, because some people may not know. You cannot wait. As soon if your property is still standing and it can be repaired, you got to get in there as soon as possible and try to do something, because mitigation teams, they're gonna be all backed up. So if you can get one, you can get someone to sign off and say, yes, I'm going to show up with my equipment. I'm going to dry your place out. Do it. Do it, because those people, they're not going to have enough equipment. And if you can go to Home Depot and get one, you can rent them from Home Depot. You can rent them from Lowe's. There's certain places that have dehumidifiers. That's basically a big oven that'll dry some of that wetness out of the air. Main thing is getting that sheetrock, that wet sheetrock, out of all the walls. Get it all up. You got to cut it out and take all that wet stuff out. If your property is salvageable, if the water goes all the way up the wall, you got to drag that thing down to the studs, because they'll condemn your house. You can't live with mold. You can't even sell a house with mold in it, and mold sets in quickly. And that being said, if you have a bunch of water damage, huge water damage, you ain't supposed to be in the house. You're not supposed to. We don't have flood damage, but these, let me see. We don't have flood damage, but these trees are down, no power. I'm thankful for the small generator and fans and fridge. Yeah, you see my little generators right there? I got those during Amazon Prime. But if it floods, I mean, what do you do? Yeah, that stuff is no good. That lithium battery gets wet, it's no good. So anyway, the flood. So anyway, we had the mitigation team come in here. The first guy came in, he didn't have enough equipment. I had to fire him. Like, once I got the insurance company to understand, because I took pictures and sent them an email. I had it in writing where I told I spoke to the ladies, and they were like brushing me off. And they'll do that because the longer you wait, the more chance of defaulting on your insurance. So I went through my house and did videos and showed them the amount of damage and document it. Don't just call them, send them an email. Document everything If you have a tree that fell on your house, if your roof is gone, and they're not responding because they won't, because they're super busy right now, send them an email. Get it documented. And talking to them on the phone, you have no proof of what was said on that phone. I sent that joker an email with videos and pictures. Just in case the video didn't go through, I sent her pictures of everything because they were blowing me off. And I was like, oh no. And I have had roof damage from a hurricane. If your roof got peeled off or if a tree fell on something, your fence, now your deductible is going to be high, but it's way more money to replace a roof or replace fence that was damaged in a hurricane. All of that stuff is covered by your homeowner's insurance. You're not going to be getting, if you're if you're on the East Coast and you were affected by this, most likely your insurance company is going to be inundated with phone calls and they're not going to be able to answer. So send them an email and take pictures and show them the damage and document. I tried to call you on this date and this is what happened to my house. This is what it looks like. I need somebody in here to repair it, especially if it's water. Because the insurance company, they contract out a mitigation team. The guy that I first had in here, I got rid of him. The insurance company gave me the money later on to pay him off. But they sent a mitigation team in here. They were like, because they're going to ask you, do you want to handle this yourself, or would you like me to get somebody in there to mitigate? And I was like, I want you to come in here and get somebody to mitigate, because if something goes wrong, it's on the insurance company. That was after I sent them that email though. And that email was nasty. Woo! That email was nasty. I was so upset because when you're dealing, it was over $50,000 worth of damage, water damage to this house. So when you're dealing with that kind of things, first of all, you ain't gonna know what to do. You sit down on your couch. Some people were told to leave their property, but as soon as they let you back into that area, go back in, get in contact. Should I get in contact with my insurance company now? As soon as you get back in, start rolling your camera. Everybody take pictures, because sometimes on the email, excuse me, sometimes on the email, the footage won't load, but pictures will load. And if you have to send 2-3 emails to different, I cut and paste. I ain't gonna tell you who I had, but they fixed it. My company fixed it. I cut and paste all of their emails, started sticking them in that email. And I had a running email. And then I printed out, because my printer was still working. I printed out, I think I was working. I was still working in Austin. I printed out, I had paper copies and I had the email. Paper copies is what you want to make sure that the insurance company can't say they ain't talk to you. Don't know what you're talking about. I had another lady, one of my coworkers, her house, what was it? It was Harvey. Harvey took their property out on the coast, here on the coast of Texas, and Rockport. Rockport was the disaster area after Harvey. And she and her husband could not find a mitigation team, so they had to do it themselves. And they had to take pictures and show the insurance company what they did, because the insurance company has to reimburse you. If the insurance company gets the mitigation team in, they go ahead and pay them directly. You ain't got to deal with it. They'll also ask you, do you want us to hire a contractor? And if you feel comfortable with doing that, go ahead and do it. I knew a guy who was here with me when the adjuster came in, because an adjuster is going to show up, and the adjuster is not going to. You think that your cabinets are worth this much? They have a book that they use that they pay out of. They have a book with prices on it, and that's what they're going to pay for that work. So if you want to use the contractor that they suggest, well, then they'll go ahead and handle everything. Another thing that the insurance company handles is hotel stays. If you have homeowners insurance, and this is a disaster, so I don't know, mine was different because mine was not for natural disasters. Mine happened because a pipe popped in my ceiling. But if you have flood insurance, the national one, the FEMA insurance, it should cover the hotel stays. They paid for my hotel because I couldn't stay in the house. You can't stay in a house that's flooded. Can't. water damage, serious water damage, where ceilings are caving in. You're not supposed to stay in there, cause serious health problems. They say that, people talk about asbestos and mold. Those are two things you don't want to inhale. Asbestos, they still use asbestos. Asbestos is not illegal in the United States. We breathe asbestos every day, but it's a natural stone. Natural stone, when the tiles, adhesive, some of that stuff is asbestos, and it's still sold today. So be careful if you're mitigating your own property. Make sure you have your respiratory system, your respiratory thing, because that stuff is not good to inhale. The fiberglass in the wall, that is also not good. Mold is also not good. You don't want to wait till the mold comes. You want to just cut. If you're doing it yourself, you got to cut that sheetrock out. I forget how many feet, but you got to get it. You got to cut it until you can't feel any more water. Cut it out and dig all that stuff out and toss it. Throw it out. Get all of that wet stuff out. Because I don't think you're going to be able to find a mitigation team. I don't think you're going to be able to find a contractor in that area. If you can, go ahead and book them ahead of time. Book the contractor now. I wish I had got on here a couple of days ago, because they're not going to be available. They're not going to be available if from what I saw on the videos, they are not going to be available. And if mold sets in, they'll condemn your house. They did it to and here in Texas. People in Houston during Harvey, they're everywhere actually. If your house went underwater during Harvey and you didn't get in there and mitigate it properly, because they give you a document saying this house was properly mitigated. I got one because it happened to me. My ceiling caved in. Everything was 3/4 of the house was wet. Everything had to be dug out. It was a gut job, basically. They'll give you a certificate of mitigation saying the house was properly mitigated. There are people who cannot, especially asthmatics, they can't breathe that stuff in. They'll walk into your house and automatically start getting sick. So you gotta do that. If you have to do it yourself, though, you gotta cut the walls out. Once it gets wet, and there's a thing. I have you could check the walls. There's a thing with a prong you buy from Home Depot, and it checks for moisture content. And I think if it's over a certain percentage, it's happened to me. So it happened so long ago, I don't remember what the percentage is. But if it's over a certain percentage, that wall has to come out. That you have to cut that wall out until the water, it ain't wet no more. And open it up and let some air in there. Just opening it up alone helps. They took all of this out. This whole kitchen, everything, the kitchen, the dining room, all the way to the middle of the living room. There was no ceiling here. All of the floor was gone. The tile, they didn't, and I had to pay for the tile myself because the insurance company didn't want to pay for that. The tile had to be replaced. All of the cabinets had to be replaced. They salvaged the granite. I mean, man, the bathroom, that cabinet was bubbled up because wood is hard to come by. These kitchens are made of pressed wood. So all I'm trying to say is get in contact with your insurance company. If you cannot get in contact with them, email them. And as soon as you get back into the sooner you get into your property, the better. And come in with some people to help you, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. You can't do it yourself. How many guys came out here to do it? First, I had the mitigation team come in, because nobody can be in here while the house is being dried out. They're running these huge machines. They're loud. They had cut all this ceiling out. So they just ran. It was like the whole house was an oven. You can't come in here because that stuff is blowing crap all over the place. All the walls were all open. They had cut out all of the walls. Upstairs, they just locked down the bedroom and the master bath, and man, it was an oven. I come in here every now and then with a mask on, to check, but I was in a hotel. Oh, that was a horrible experience in a hotel. Go to Airbnb if you can. You'll have more peace, because you ain't gonna have no peace in the hotel. And I was in a hotel for about 2 months after that happened. bouncing around. Basically, um, oh my gosh. Basically, homeless. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here and let you guys know a little bit about my experience with flooding and flood damage and insurance and mitigation. And I hope that you all stay blessed. You're still alive. You're still viable. I recovered, and you can too. This is Jamerica with Jamerica Life. I thank you guys for being with me. I'm going to check the chat to see if there's anything. I watched 60 Minutes about insurance companies that are frauding company. Yeah. My insurance company paid though, but I put stuff in emails, put it in writing. Let's see. The New Orleans garden is here. Growing my own. She is Sharon Sunshine. Wellness Frugal Mama. I just wanted to tell you my experience with floods, and man, I hope you all, I'll pray for you guys to recover soon, because I feel so bad about the entire situation, and it could happen anywhere. It happens to us. It happens all over the United States. No one is beyond natural disasters. Only God is in charge. No, we aren't. I thank you guys for being with me. I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed, stay strong, and you are in my prayers. Bye, y'all.